d factorial equal to d to the power of 3 minus d. How do we find the value of d? Before we go ahead with the solution, we have a condition, and our condition is that d is not equal to 0. Now, let us go ahead with the solution. Solution. Recall that the factorial formula which says n factorial is equal to n times n minus 1 factorial. We are going to apply this property to this left hand side. This implies that d times d minus 1 factorial is equal to the right hand side, d to the power of 3 minus d. That is, by replacing this particular n with d, that's how we got this. Let us continue. This implies that d times d minus 1 factorial is equal to, we can pull out d from these two guys, so that will be d into d to the power of 2 minus 1. Let us divide both sides by d, so we are going to have d times d minus 1 factorial over d equal to d times d to the power of 2 minus 1 over d. D cancels d, so we are left with d minus 1 factorial on the left side equal to, d also cancels d on the right side, so we have d to the power of 2 minus 1. D minus 1 factorial is equal to d to the power of 2 minus, we can also rewrite 1 as 1 to the power of 2. Now, let us recall the difference of 2 square, which says a square minus b square is the same thing as a minus b times a plus b. So from this line, we have d minus 1 factorial equal to, by comparing this right hand side with this, we have d minus 1 times d plus 1. Let us continue. Also, recall that n minus 1 factorial can also be written as n minus 1 times n minus 2 factorial. That means we are going to apply this property to this left hand side. So from here, we are going to have d minus 1 times d minus 2 factorial equal to the right hand side, d minus 1 times d plus 1. Let us continue. What do you notice here? We can divide both sides by d minus 1. So we are going to have d minus 1 times d minus 2 factorial over d minus 1 equal to d minus 1 times d plus 1 over d minus 1. Clearly, d minus 1 cancels d minus 1 on the left side. We are left with d minus 2 factorial equal to, likewise on the right side, d minus 1 cancels d minus 1. We have d plus 1. Now, let's suppose d minus 2 is equal to k. So from here, we are going to have k factorial equal to d plus 1. Also, from this assumption, d minus 2 equals to k. If we try to make this the subject of the formula, we are going to have d equals to k plus 2. Take note of this. So, this implies that k factorial is equal to, what is d? D is k plus 2. So, we have k plus 2 plus 1. This implies that k factorial is equal to k, 2 plus 1, that is simply 3. The next step now is to think of a number for k in which both sides will be equal. First, let us test for when k equals to 1. If k is equals to 1, this whole guy will become 1 factorial equal to 1 plus 3. 1 factorial, that is 1, times 1 equal to 1 plus 3, that is 4. So 1 equals to 4. That means k equals to 1 is not possible. So we are going to ignore when k equals to 1. Let us test for when k equals to 2. If k is equals to 2, this whole guy will become 2 factorial equal to 2 plus 3. 2 factorial, that is 2 times 1, equal to 2 plus 3, that is 5. 2 times 1, that is 2, equals to 5. That means k equals to 2 is not possible. Now, let us test for when k is equals to 3. That means this whole guy will become 3 factorial equal to 3 plus 3. 3 factorial is the same thing as writing 3 times 2 times 1 equal to 3 plus 3, that is 6. 3 times 2 times 1, that is 6, equal to 6. This means that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. That means k equal to 3 is possible. Let us proceed further. Since d minus 2 is equals to k, from this guy, our assumption here, d minus 2 equals to k. So let us continue. D minus 2 is equals to, what is k? Our k is equals to 3. That is the possible case. So we have 3. This implies that d equal to 3 plus 2 when 2 comes to the right side. Therefore, our value of d is equals to 5. We can verify this if this is true. The original question says, so this is check. The original question says d factorial equal to d to the power of 3 minus d. And the value of d that we obtain is 5. So this implies that 5 factorial is equals to 5 to the power of 3 minus 5. 5 factorial can also be written as 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 equal to 5 to the power of 3, that is 125 minus 5. 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is simply 120 equal to 125 minus 5, that is 120. This indicates that the left hand side is equals to the right hand side. Thus, indeed, our value of d is equals to 5. This is the required solution. That's it. Thanks for watching.